ever felt frustrated, overwhelmed, or stuck wasting time in admin instead of growing, leveraging, and scaling your business? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate, the podcast that's all about handing off what you don't need to do so you can focus on what you do best. So here's your host, Bonnie Schutz.
Hello, everybody. This is Bonnie Schutz with Delegate to Elevate podcast. Get shit done. I said that in a little different way, but what the hell? Anyway, today's podcast is about the 8 key adjustments and preparations to help refine your delegation skills over time. So delegation is a skill that can't be done overnight. It can't be magically an easy thing to do. You have to refine it, and it takes time to do that. So I've broken it down into about 8 or so key elements that I hope can help you out. So number 1 is shifting your mindset about delegation. It's people probably have in their heads that it's like dumping tasks on just, taking things, literally picture a plate, taking things off that plate. Here's your Thanksgiving dinner and you're taking the cranberries off. No, you're not just dumping tasks. And you're not losing control either. You still are the one with the serving spoon for that plate, right? You're not losing control and you're not dumping shit off your plate. Okay. You are empowering others to succeed, to free you to focus on your higher level priorities. Simple, right? So think of yourself as a teacher, as a coach, or something in that vein. Just know that if your students are taking their exam and doing their thing, you're up at your desk, Facebook, and up there at your desk doing those higher level things. Maybe you're networking. You're on a Zoom call trying to get a new client, something like that. So think of it as investing in your team and not just offloading work. Okay, the next one is to be sure you have in your head and you have clarity in your head what success looks like in this delegation practice you are embarking upon, that you are refining over time. So get a clear idea of what seems successful to you. Be clear about your expectations. Write them down. I expect this person to do ABC. I'm going to give them these deadlines, and I'm giving them these deliverables. These are the things I need by this date, and I want them done like a freaking rock star. Or I want them done at, mid-range C-level, and I'll put my secret sauce on them, but they have to be in by Tuesday. So clarity about your expectations and your deadlines and your deliverables from the start. A really good practice in clarifying what something successful looks like is to literally provide them examples of something you've done in the past, or give them a template that you've done in the past that they can use, which sets the standard. Then there's no gray area, right? There's just no gray area. They know exactly what you did in the past and what they're going to hopefully do as well. So win-win. And lastly, what I would say as far as clarifying, what success may look like, encourage right from the get-go, right from the start, encourage questions from the person you're delegating to avoid assumptions. Because you know what assuming does. I don't probably have to say that, but what the hell? Don't assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. All right. So number 3 would be to start small and scale up. Test the waters, with some low risky tasks. It takes time to build trust. And, for them to have confidence, and for you to have confidence that you're giving them something they're fully capable of doing. So start with something small that's not going to make a huge impact on you or your business if it's not perfect when they hand it back to you. But as you go along, you gradually increase the complexity, as your comfort and their competence grows. So you're starting small, you're slowly scaling up. So although I'm not an exerciser, I've heard a lot of people do this thing called exercising. Don't come at me, folks. I promise. Please don't. So this is kind of a little analogy that someone told me about once. So when you are delegating, think of it as delegation reps. So you build your muscle over time. And it made perfect sense to me, as you know, I've watched lots of people on TV do reps. So delegation reps, you're practicing, you're both practicing. And once you're done practicing, boom, you are stronger than Stretch Armstrong. If you are under 40, you probably don't know who Stretch Armstrong is, but sorry about that. So next, number 4. If my chair doesn't roll away, focus on communication and feedback loops, right? I can't tell you how many times I use the word communication, and I want to instinctually apologize for saying that, but no, I won't, because it is key. And as I tell my team consistently, communicate and over communicate. And I have a book on my shelf back there about feedback, and using feedback loops is just kind of clicking it back and forth. Hey, did you ever consider this? Hey, I don't like that. That's not me. So set up regular check-ins to monitor their progress, without micromanaging. Now that always touches on a sore subject. And there's a fine line between kind of monitoring and micromanaging. And so you give a little leash, you don't start pulling back too tight. You don't want to choke them. So monitor their progress without micromanaging. Bite your lip. It's not you doing this. It's somebody else. So monitor, trust that they're doing it. You're seeing some progress and things are being moved forward, and then just step back. They're not you. They're not going to do it exactly like you do it, but you may communicate. Oh, that's not exactly how I do it, but tell me how you decided to do it that way. That's that feedback, that open line of communication. And what's another super important thing is to use tools. And I particularly love this because it's a lot easier for me to see things visually in a tool like Asana or Slack even, or ClickUp, to streamline the updates. So they could say, hey, take a look at this snip of this graphic design that I'm creating for you so far. How does it look to you? Can you get back to me in a day because it's due in 3 days? However this exact concise communication would look or sound for you. But using these tech tools, perfect. Because then you don't have to schedule calls or meetings or take a phone call that you're not expecting, and just know to look a few times a day or a week or however long your project is and see where they're at. If you don't see any updates, ask for an update, right? So also, if you see those updates and things like that, I want you to look for giving back timely feedback, as you would expect from them to give you updates. Don't make them wait 3 days to hear back from you, right? Praise their wins and address their hiccups constructively. I think I just kind of said that a minute ago. Let me think of another example. Maybe you have 4 colors that are your brand colors, 2 primary, 2 secondary, and they flipped them. Oops, there's a little hiccup right there. Just remember purple, green, tan, silver, whatever the colors are. Give them a little acronym for it so that they remember the order of which the colors should be used. So it's constructive. You make a little something humorous about it, when sometimes you have to gulp down inside and go like, how the hell could they make a mistake like that? Just know that it's going to be received so much better if your feedback is constructive, but, does point out the things that are wrong, which is accept imperfection. Again, I kind of alluded to that before, but also let go of your own perfectionism. So guilty of that myself. Things may not be done exactly the way you would do them. And that's okay. Focus on the result and the end product, not just the process that it took to get there. And practice patience with mistakes. They are growth opportunities. I've had to garner a whole lot of patience in my own business when it comes to something like a contract. Something goes wrong and it wasn't protected by my contract, or there was a total verbiage content mistake in it. And in the moment I was upset, but as I reflect back on it now, it was a complete growth opportunity. And damn, those contracts are bulked up now. It's like you have to fuck up to grow up. You just kind of have to do that sometimes. All right, I'm going to go on to number 6. So learn to prioritize tasks for delegation. So this is kind of overall in your business. So the good question to ask yourself is, what drains my energy but isn't worth my hourly rate? First, you have to come up with your hourly rate. So make sure you really think about what you do your research, and come up with your hourly rate if you haven't really done that yet. But think of what is so freaking draining for your time, which I always emphasize in every chance I can get. Your time is so, so valuable at the helm of your business. So focus on repeatable, systemized tasks first. That's for you, right? Those are the kind of things that you don't have to have this helicopter mom over them to make sure they're doing it right, because it's something that maybe you've taught them once. They have some in a file or record that they can look at and do it, pretty much recopy it, update it, right? And lastly, for number 6 here on prioritizing tasks for delegation, you want to offload time-consuming admin work. Oh, that's my favorite word. But really, it's so you can focus on strategy and growing your business. Yeah, I might like to do a little admin work just to kind of get my mind off the tough stuff. But if you really want to learn and grow and delegate so you can elevate, you have to offload time-consuming admin work. This can be like your bookkeeping. This can be like your social media. There's things like that are repeatable and systemized tasks that you could just hand off. And then you can go network, you can go sell, you can go dream about what's coming up next for you in your business. I promise, if you can get yourself past this and think about your hourly rate and really think about what first to delegate, you'll appreciate this episode of the podcast. On to number 7, build trust through transparency. This is a big, big one for me and my team. And it's kind of a double-edged sword with how transparent you want to be about things as far as what your why is behind a certain task, how important it is, how much information they need. So, but I want to tell you that even as an EA back in the day, I was a much, much better EA, executive assistant in corporate, when I knew more about my boss's bigger picture or his vision, her vision. It helped me want to do more and really understand the concept of why I was doing this task. It gave me ownership. It said, I need to get my boss to here, so I'm going to do this task really well because now I really understand where he is going with it. But also, you should be honest about your limitations. Like, I'm willing for you to flub this thing up 3 times, like 3 strikes, you're out, right? Because you can't go on making mistakes forever and ever. Always provide deadlines. And if you're okay with it, I would say, if you're not going to meet your deadline, please let me know a few days in advance and give me the new realistic date that you think you can get it done, and let's negotiate that. I can be flexible. So being flexible up front is great, if you can be. If this is a strict deadline, you have to communicate that, convey that from the get, okay? And again, trust is built over time. Lean into collaboration, but not control, and build that trust. Give it chance to blossom because, with lessons learned and clear communications, trust will be built over time. I promise. If, like I said, you lean into that collaboration and you're not controlling or helicoptering or micromanaging. So lastly, my number 8. So reflect and refine regularly. After each project with this particular delegatee, review what they worked on, review what worked and what didn't work. So you'll have to be able to say, this is a really good way to de-escalate something. So start with what worked. You did a fantastic job on project A. Oh my gosh, no mistakes. Fantastic. Project B, same thing. Thank you. Project C, what happened? You did awesome on A and B, like I said. C was missing a few things. Were you distracted? Was there anything else that I could have, provided you? More information? Was it different than the first two? I mean, you may already know that answer, but anyway, if you kind of like put the onus back on them to explain to you why something they didn't work, they could come flat out and say, you didn't tell me how to do it right. Okay. Take ownership of that. Okay. So ask yourself and your team or whoever you're delegating to, your consultant or your marketing agency or whatever it is, what can we improve upon next time? Like maybe it was a perfect, all your stars aligned and everything just worked, but what can we improve upon next time? And then lastly, delegation is a living process. It can be open to being tweaked. It can, a little leaf. I always go into these visuals. It's a living process. So immediately I thought of a plant and a delegation plant, which I'll give you a little clue in my next episode. I'm going to tell you kind of how delegation is a spectrum. That you don't just start right in the middle of the spectrum. You have to go across the beautiful colors of the spectrum to get to where everything is flowing and growing and working perfect. So be open to having a conversation about what you could have done better and being able to convey to them what they did good and what they can do better next time. Ask them if there are systems or other strategies that they may have used with other clients that might help you. So that's it. I hope some of this resonates with you and that you will like and comment and follow and subscribe and share and DM me all the good things about today's episode and all the bad, because I am open to constructive criticism. Is it Monday? Anyway, I'm open. You should be open. They should be open. If they aren't, think about it. Get references. Talk to the people that have worked with them in the past and make sure they work for you. So I hope this hits home, does something for you, and you will tune in to our next episode. And let's talk about that spectrum and what's normal. Everything is normal, but let's talk about what those different levels of delegation can be for each person. Now, everybody's different, and you don't have to have the same, and you can stick right where you're at, but we'll work on ways to do that. So have a wonderful day. Thanks.
So that's it for today's episode of Delegate to Elevate. Head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a $15,000 private VIP day with Bonnie herself. Be sure to head on over to delegatetoelevatepodcast.com. That's with the number 2. And pick up a free copy of Bonnie's gift. And join us on the next episode.